Hi stars, welcome back. In this video I'm going to talk to you about how to read an aspectarian. So if we haven't met before, I'm Alison, an astrologer here in Vancouver. I've been doing a series about aspects and how to work with aspects in natal chart readings, and this particular video is actually about how to use the aspectarian, and I'm going to explain to you what it is, what the little numbers mean and what information you can get from it so you can continue on learning more about doing astrology. The idea is that if you want to polish your astrological readings, you do really need to pay attention to the small details that carry on in a chart. Now I do have further videos about aspects, and you can see more about those here, and I'll also be flagging them as we go through the voiceover to find out at particular points where you may need to reference other videos that I've created. Anyway, let's get started. So how to read an aspectarian. So an aspectarian is a grid that shows the aspects between the planets and the points in your chart. So it's going to be a grid, and we're going to be working with a grid. Now the aspectarian will display what you choose. You can choose which planets and points you want in your aspectarian, and it's up to you all the details that you put in. So sometimes you might not want to put in the nodes or Chiron or something, and you would choose to display them. So you get to choose which planets and points you want in your aspectarian. You also get to choose the orbs that you want in your aspectarian, and they would typically be either the standard orbs or the tight orbs. So you could have an aspectarian with standard orbs, which would be 8 degrees for a conjunction, 8 degrees for a square, and so on. Or you might want to, if you were doing forecasting work, choose to have tight orbs, which would be anything under 1 degree, and you would definitely use that if you were doing transits or secondary progressions or solar arc directions or something like that. So you do get the option of choosing and picking and choosing what goes into your aspectarian. So the types of aspects that you will get, there are actually 2 types of aspects that are shown on an aspectarian. And you get the aspects of longitude, which is your conjunction, squares, trines, and so on. And you get the aspects of declination, which is your parallels and contra-parallels. Now, typically, your aspect grid will look something like this. Here I'm displaying the planets from the moon all the way out to Chiron. So you can see I'm not actually displaying the ascendant or the midheaven or the nodes, but of course you could. And the aspectarian is actually divided by this diagonal line. So you could get, this is what we would call a full aspectarian, but on some charts you only get half an aspectarian, where you're only displaying typically then the aspects of longitude. So in this particular case, these are Astrogold, what we're using here, the app Astrogold, which I recommend, although they don't sponsor me or anything, but anyway. So in this half of the aspectarian, you will see the aspects of longitude, and in that half of the aspectarian, you will see aspects of declination, which is your parallels, and contra-parallels. And we're just going to have a look at a couple of example charts about how to read an aspectarian. So first we're looking at the chart here for Vincent van Gogh. There is his chart. And I'm going to pick just one particular aspect at a time. So we're looking now at the Sun square Chiron, and you can see it there, the red line is joining the Sun is squaring Chiron. We're going to have a closer look at that. So when we display now the aspectarian, you can see by looking down the second column, which has the Sun at the top, that you look down the Sun column to where it intersects with the Chiron row, and there we have the square. Now there's some little numbers underneath the square because that tells you what the aspect is, that it's a square. So the numbers written below are 3A11. What that means is 3 is the number of degrees of the orb. The A means that it is an applying aspect and not a separating aspect. And the 11 shows the 11 minutes in the orb of this aspect. So in his chart he has Sun square Chiron with a 3-degree 11-minute orb, and it is an applying square. That's what it's telling you. Let's have a look at another one. So he has also the moon trine Mercury. There it is with the blue line. You can see the moon is trine Mercury. When we look at the aspectarian, there is your actual intersection of the moon and Mercury. And we can see there's the blue triangle, so that is the trine. And the numbers below says 5A26. So we know this means that it's 5 degrees applying and 26 minutes. So the orb of that trine between the moon and Mercury is 5 degrees 26 minutes, and it is an applying aspect. Let's look at another one. Venus conjoined Mars. There's the conjunction. Venus is up there very close to Mars. And when we look on the aspectarian grid, we see there's the conjunction for it. You go down the Venus column, you go across the Mars row, and you see the conjunction between Venus and Mars. The numbers written below are 1s55, so now you know this means 1 degree separating 55 minutes. So the orb of this conjunction is very tight. It's 1 degree 55 minutes, but it is a separating conjunction between Venus and Mars. Let's just have another look at this Venus conjoined Mars again. So now we're going to be looking at the other side of your aspectarian above the diagonal line. So we see that there is a symbol there that says Venus is parallel Mars. It's the two vertical lines there. And there's your orb there. It's 0s18. And we now know that that means 0 degrees separating 18 minutes. Now you will notice that all of the orbs on the aspects of declination are less than 1 degree, because that is the selection I have. Because with aspects of declination, the parallels and the contra-parallels, you really want a very tight orb. So all of them will have 0 degrees, and in this particular case, 18 minutes. So what we actually find here now with Van Gogh is that he's got Venus conjunct Mars and Venus parallel Mars. Let's just have a closer look at that. So if you need further information about aspects of declinations, I'll put the link to the video above here. So what we have is, this is what is known as a super conjunction. Venus is conjoined Mars and Venus is parallel Mars. I also call it a double whammy. It's just one of those things. It is a super conjunction for him. So in this case, where Venus is conjoined Mars, it is a far more important conjunction than, for instance, Mercury conjoined Pluto, which is just a regular conjunction. It is not parallel. So you can see the two are reflecting, almost mirroring themselves across the diagonal line. Let's have a look at another one. He's also got the moon conjoined Jupiter. So there it is. So what we have is, there's your symbol there. You go down the moon column across the Jupiter row to the conjunction. It's 4A05. Now we clearly know this means 4 degrees applying 05. So that is an applying conjunction between the moon and Jupiter. But this is also an interesting one, because not only does he have the moon conjoined Jupiter, he's also got the moon parallel Jupiter. And that's the symbol across there on the Jupiter column on the moon row. Again, that we look at the actual orb of this parallel. So it is 0s56, that is 0 degrees separating 56 minutes. Again, because we're checking on the parallels, it's less than 1 degree in all cases. So let's just do a moon Jupiter recap. He's got the moon conjoined Jupiter. He has the moon parallel Jupiter. This makes it a super conjunction, what I love to call a double whammy, and this makes it a super important conjunction in his chart. So moving on, let's have a look at Mozart's chart. He's got a different sort of thing going on here. So he has the Sun opposition Neptune. When we look at the grid, we go down the Sun column to Neptune, and we can clearly see the opposition symbol. So it's 2A15, 2 degrees applying 15 minutes. So this is an opposition. But he also has the Sun contra-parallel Neptune. If you can see over there, it's the two vertical lines with the cross off. That is the contra-parallel. Again, the notes below that says 0A34, so we know it's 0 degrees applying 34 minutes. So the Sun contra-parallel Neptune is an applying aspect with 0 degrees 34 minutes. Again, less than 1 degree because it's an aspect of declination. So let's just do a bit of a recap here. He's got the Sun, the Sun-Neptune recap. So he's got the opposition and the contra-parallel. Sun opposition Neptune, Sun contra-parallel Neptune, which creates this to be a super opposition in his chart, what I love to call a double whammy. This makes it a really important aspect for him. So it's standing head and shoulders above any other opposition in his chart. Let's just do a quick aspectarian recap. What can you get from an aspectarian? Your aspectarian will show aspects of longitude, it will show aspects of declination, it will show the aspect orbs, and it will show whether it is an applying or separating aspect. As soon as you learn to read an aspectarian, life will be a lot easier when you're doing chart readings. So there you have it. Lots of information there about how to read an aspectarian, which is a great thing. And of course I use them every time I actually do any chart readings. One is always looking at the aspectarian that goes with the chart. So these are just skills for you to know. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, give me a like, or share the video with anyone who would be interested. I'm Alison Price. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.